Hi, I'm Marcus Chen, and this is the story of how my ex wife learned that sometimes your biggest mistake can become someone else's greatest opportunity. 10 years ago, she took my struggling tech company in our divorce, thinking she'd won everything. Now she's about to learn what I've built from nothing. Let me take you back to 2014. I had founded SecureNet, a small cybersecurity startup that was just beginning to show promise. My wife, Catherine, had been there from the beginning, or so everyone thought. In reality, while I worked 80-hour weeks coding and building the company, she was having an affair with our lead investor, James. I discovered the affair the same day we got our first major contract. The celebration champagne was still chilled when I found their messages. Catherine didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she laughed. "Did you really think I loved you?" she said, pouring her wine glass. "James has connections, real money. What do you have? A startup that's probably going to fail anyway." The divorce was brutal. Catherine had documented every small mistake, every shortcut I'd taken while building the company. With James' expensive lawyers helping her, she painted me as an incompetent leader who would run SecureNet into the ground. Since she technically owned 45% of the shares and had James's 15% backing her, she managed to push me out completely. I left that courthouse with nothing but my laptop and the code in my head. Catherine's last words to me were, "Good luck starting over at 35. Try not to embarrass yourself." That night, sitting in my cheap motel room, I made a promise to myself. I would build something bigger, something better, and I would do it in a way that no one could take from me. I started consulting, living on ramen noodles and coffee while saving every penny. I watched from afar as Catherine and James took SecureNet in a new direction, ignoring the core security features I developed in favor of flashier, less secure products. What they didn't know was that before leaving, I created something revolutionary, a quantum encryption algorithm that would change the face of cybersecurity. I hadn't had time to implement it at SecureNet, and Catherine was too busy redecorating the office to notice the research was missing. 5 years of grinding work later, I launched Quantum Shield. The technology was so advanced that major tech companies were practically throwing money at us. Within 2 years, we'd become the leading name in quantum cybersecurity. I kept my success quiet, operating through holding companies and letting others be the public face. I watched as SecureNet struggled, losing clients to newer, more innovative companies, including mine, though Catherine didn't know that. Then came last week. Catherine walked into our headquarters, not knowing who owned it, desperately seeking investment for SecureNet. The company was failing, bleeding clients and money. She pushed James out years ago, but couldn't save the company on her own. As she sat in our waiting room, clutching her proposal folder, she had no idea that her meeting wasn't with some anonymous investor. Because in exactly 1 hour, she was going to come face to face with the ex-husband she'd left with nothing. I watched Catherine through my office's one-way glass. 10 years had added a few lines around her eyes, but she still carried herself with that same arrogant confidence. She was checking her reflection in her phone's screen when my assistant Sarah approached her. "Mrs. Peterson, Mr. Chen will see you now." Catherine frowned. "Chen? I thought I was meeting with Mr. Williams from Quantum Ventures." "Mr. Chen is the CEO of Quantum Ventures," Sarah replied smoothly. "Right this way." I could see confusion crossing Catherine's face. Chen was a common name after all. She followed Sarah, her heels clicking on the marble floor. When she entered my office, her eyes were fixed on her presentation folder. "Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Chen. I'm here to discuss an investment opportunity in." She looked up and froze mid-sentence. The folder slipped from her hands, scattering papers across the floor. "Hello, Catherine," I said calmly. "It's been a while." She stumbled backward, gripping the doorframe for support. "Marcus, this is impossible. Please have a seat." I gestured to the chair across from my desk. "I believe you wanted to discuss SecureNet's future." She sank into the chair, her perfectly composed facade cracking. You're Quantum Ventures. But they're worth $30 billion at last valuation." I finished for her. "Amazing what you can build in 10 years when someone takes everything you have." Color drained from her face as realization dawned. The quantum shield technology. Everyone's been trying to figure out who developed it. Remember all those nights I spent wasting time on theoretical encryption? I smiled. Turns out it wasn't so useless after all. Catherine's hands were trembling as she gathered her scattered papers. I didn't know you were rich, successful, the owner of the company that's been taking all your clients. I leaned back in my chair. There's a lot you didn't know, Catherine. Like the fact that Quantum Ventures has been buying SecureNet shares through shell companies for the past year. Her head snapped up. What? I clicked a button on my desk, bringing up the ownership breakdown of SecureNet on my wall screen. As of this morning, I own 51% of SecureNet's shares. Technically, I'm your boss now. That's not possible, she whispered. I would have known. Like you knew about the potential of quantum encryption. Or how about the real reason your biggest clients have been leaving? I pulled up another screen showing client migration data. They're all using Quantum Shield now. Catherine's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide her growing panic. But I wasn't finished yet. Because I had one more revelation that would show her exactly what she'd thrown away 10 years ago. Here's the interesting thing about success, Catherine, I said, standing to look out over the city skyline. It teaches you a lot about what really matters. Would you like to know what I learned? She sat silently, her hands clenched in her lap. I learned that losing everything can be the greatest gift. I turned back to face her. When you took SecureNet, you thought you were taking my future. Instead, you freed me to build something better. So what now? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. You're going to destroy SecureNet. Get your revenge. I laughed softly. Revenge? Catherine, I'm not you. This isn't about destroying anything. It's about building something extraordinary. I clicked to the next slide, showing my plans for SecureNet. I'm going to merge SecureNet with Quantum Shield's consumer division. The technology I developed, it's going to save the company you thought was worthless. The company you took from me will become part of my legacy after all, just not the way you imagined. And what about me? She asked. That depends on you. I'm offering you two choices. I placed two contracts on the desk. Option 1. You walk away with a generous severance package. $5 million, enough to start over somewhere else. She reached for the first contract, but I held up my hand. Before you decide, let me tell you option 2. You stay, but in a very different role. You'll work as a junior project manager, reporting to people who actually understand technology. You'll learn the business from the ground up, the way I did when you left me with nothing. You want me to be your employee? Her voice rose in disbelief. After everything between us? What's between us is business now, Catherine. And business is about value, not emotions. You have skills in marketing and client relations. The question is, are you humble enough to learn what you don't know? She stared at the contracts for a long moment. Why offer me anything at all? Because success taught me something else. Bitterness holds you back. I could destroy you, but I'd rather show you what you could have been part of if you believed in what we were building. 6 months later, Catherine surprised everyone by choosing option 2. She started at the bottom, learning coding basics and cybersecurity fundamentals. It wasn't easy, especially when she had to present to clients who remembered her from her CEO days. But she persevered. Yesterday, she delivered her first successful project presentation. As she explained the technical details of the security protocol she'd helped develop, I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Genuine passion for the work itself, not just the status it brought. After the meeting, she stopped by my office. You know what the worst part is? She said quietly. Not losing the company or the money or even the status. It's realizing that 10 years ago, I was too blind to see what you were building. The past is just code we can't change, I replied. What matters is what we build next. James called me last week, trying to buy his way back into SecureNet. I sent him the same message Catherine had once given me. Good luck starting over. As for me, I still keep my old laptop from that motel room to remind me that sometimes losing everything is just the beginning of building something better. The merged company, now called Secure Shield, is revolutionizing cybersecurity. Catherine runs our client education division, teaching others what she learned the hard way. That real value isn't in what you take, but in what you build. And that first quantum encryption algorithm I designed in those late nights she thought I was wasting. It's now protected by a patent that lists both our names. Not because she deserved it, but because sometimes the best revenge is showing someone exactly what they could have been part of. After all, success isn't about who has the most shares, it's about who shares the most value.